The Lord is not only seeking the kingdom, He also desires a beautiful church, the pearl. We have pointed out that according to Revelation 21, the New Jerusalem is built with precious stones and pearls. In other words, the New Jerusalem is a combination of the treasure and the pearl. In Matthew chapter 13, these are two, the treasure in the field and the pearl out of the sea. But in Revelation 21, they are combined in one entity. The New Jerusalem is both the kingdom and the church. In Matthew chapter 16, the terms church and kingdom are used interchangeably. Firstly, the Lord said, I will build my church. Then He said, I will give to you the keys of the kingdom of the heavens. The fact that these terms are used interchangeably means that the church is equal to the kingdom and the kingdom to the church. Ultimately, in the New Jerusalem, the kingdom and the church become one entity. At this point, some may be asking the following question. Since the kingdom is the church and the church is the kingdom, what is the difference between them? This brings us to a matter difficult to understand. Let me approach it by asking whether we in the Lord's recovery are in the church or the kingdom. It is correct to say that we are in both the church and the kingdom, but we must know in what sense we are the church and in what sense we are the kingdom. In other words, we must know in what sense we are the treasure and in what sense we are the poor. As the kingdom, we are something of the earth created by God and redeemed by Christ. And as the church, we are something out of the world corrupted by Satan and condemned by God. The treasure, the symbol of the kingdom, is concealed within the earth. Hence, it is altogether related to the earth. But the pearl, the symbol of the church, has nothing whatever to do with the earth. It is something produced out of the sea. Out of the Satan corrupted and God condemned sea, such a beautiful thing as a fine pearl has been produced. As the church, we have been produced out of the world, but we no longer have anything to do with the world. Although we are the pearl out of the sea, we are no longer in the sea. We have been regenerated to become a beautiful pearl. Being in another category, we have nothing to do with this rotten world. As the kingdom, we have nothing to do with the Satan-corrupted world, but we are related to the God-created earth and God Christ-redeemed earth. On the one hand, we are true with the world. On the other hand, we are building up something on earth. We are not building a Tower of Babel. We are building the kingdom of the heavens. As Matthew chapter 6 verse 10 says, Let your kingdom come, let your will be done, as in heaven, so on earth. God's kingdom cannot be established in the sea, and God's will cannot be done in the Satan-corrupted world. God's will must be done on the God-created earth, and God's kingdom must be established on the Christ-redeemed earth. At the same time, we are both in the church and in the kingdom, in the pearl and in the treasure. When the New Jerusalem comes, there will be no more sea, and the earth will be renewed. On that new earth, there will be a combination of the treasure and the pearl, of the kingdom and the church. In the New Jerusalem, the treasure will no longer be hidden in the field, but built upon the surface of the field. In that combination of the treasure and the pearl, the treasure will be built up with the pearl. If you have the vision, this vision, you will see that even among us today, the kingdom and the church are built up together. We do not have two entities, but just one entity. On the one hand, this entity is the treasure, the kingdom. On the other hand, it is the pearl, the church. Among us in the Lord's recovery, there should be no sea. Instead of the sea, we should have the renewed earth. But suppose you visit the church in Anaheim, and in many of the homes you hear nothing but gossiping. This would be a sign that the sea is still present with those brothers and sisters. Although a church filled with gossip is still a church, it is a church in the water of the ocean. Such a church cannot be the kingdom. It is the pearl, but not the treasure. But suppose in all the homes of the church in Anaheim, there is no gossip, criticism, or idle words. Rather, there is nothing but the experience of Christ and the church. In such a case, there will be no sea. Instead, there will be life, light, and transformation. Such a church is the renewed land for the kingdom. In every home, you see the proper humanity, and immediately you sense that there is no more sea, only the renewed earth. On this renewed earth, there is the New Jerusalem, composed of the pearl and the treasure. This is not only the church, but also the kingdom. In such a church, you have the treasure in the field and the pearl out of the sea. By this illustration, we see that the church can be both the pearl and the treasure. When we are the pearl, we are out of the sea, out of the world. When we are the kingdom, we are on the earth. However, we are not on the earth in a subdued way, but in a reigning way. For we are on the earth as the heavenly kingdom. This should not be mere doctrine to us. It must be our genuine daily practice. If our conversation is filled with talk about worldly things, about money or the movies, it is a sign that we are filled with the things of the Satan-corrupted world. This is the sea. But if among us there is no gossip or criticism, but Christ, the church, and transformation, this is a sign that we are the new earth. Among us here in Anaheim, we have the new earth. On this new earth, we have the treasure, the kingdom, and the proper human life. Even today, this treasure is no longer hidden. It is on the surface of the earth. To the worldly people and to the unbelieving Jews, this treasure is hidden within the earth. Praise the Lord that we have such a treasure in the renewed earth. None of the outsiders or unbelievers understands this. Sometimes they say we don't understand those people. We don't know what they are doing. However, we realize that they are good people. This is the treasure, the evidence that we are living proper human life on the God-created and Christ-redeemed earth. At the time of the millennium, in the eyes of God, the entire earth will be a treasure. In the first four parables, in Matthew chapter 13, we see only the growing of life. We see nothing of transformation. In these parables, we have the wheat, the grain, the mustard, and the fine flour. Praise the Lord for the two following parables. We have not only four parables on the growing life, but also two parables on transformation. Transformation makes us pearls and precious stones, pearls for the church and precious stones for the kingdom. On the one hand, we are out of the world, having nothing to do with the corrupted world. On the other hand, we are living on earth as the proper humanity. For us, there is no more the sea, but the dry land created by God and redeemed by Christ. Now we are living and walking on this land. This is not only the church as the pearl, but also the kingdom as the treasure. I praise the Lord that I am part of the pearl and of the treasure. As part of the pearl, I have nothing to do with this rotten world. But as part of the treasure, I am very interested in this earth. I do not desire to go to heaven. I prefer to be here on this good earth where there is no more sea. We are the pearl and we are the treasure. We are out of the world, but we are still on the earth. This is the correct interpretation of these two parables. Life study of Matthew, message 40, the unveiling of the kingdom's mysteries. Before we consider the parable of the net, I would like to say a further word regarding the treasure and the pearl. In the Bible, the number 7 is composed of 4 plus 3, 3 plus 4, or 6 plus 1. The first time the number 7 is mentioned in the Bible, it is composed of the 6 days of creation plus 1 day, the Sabbath for rest. In Revelation, the 7 churches are composed of 3 plus 4. The 7 seals are firstly composed of 4 plus 3, then of 6 plus 1. The principle is the same with the 7 trumpets and the 7 bowls. In Matthew chapter 13, the number 7 is composed firstly of 4 plus 3, then of 6 plus 1. The first 4 parables are all related to foodstuff, but the 5th and 6th parables are related to transformation for building. Although even the hardest bread can be leavened, pearl and precious stones cannot be leavened. Furthermore, although a wafer or even hard bread may be ruined by water poured upon it, this is not true of either precious stones or pearl.